Hi, this is Denise Pimentel with Unshaken Voices. So thankful that you decided to come here today. So the episode today is called Can We Change the Mental Health Story for the Next Generation? I'm Denise Pimentel, author of Unshaken, educator, mental health advocate, and someone who knows firsthand what it means to live through the reality of mental illness. I also know what it means to try to fight for stability and healing. But I also know what it means to search for purpose within your pain. Today's episode is a very important one. This conversation is for parents, grandparents, caregivers, educators, and really it's for anyone who loves someone and wants to help protect the next generation. Today we're going to talk about the connection between genetics, mental illness, and the environment. We're talking about what may be passed down through family lines. We're also going to talk about what can awaken the vulnerability. Then we're going to talk about what we can actually do in practical ways to create healthier, safer, more supportive environments for our children and our grandchildren. I want to say this right from the start. This episode is not about blaming parents. I'm a parent as well. It's not about blaming our grandparents or our children's grandparents. It's not about shaming families for what they didn't know. In many families, the education was simply not there the way it is today. It was also not there many generations ago. So if you remember, people who may have been mentally ill were either burned at the stake, if you go real far back, or they could have just been put in asylums because the treatment was not what it is today. Had I been living back then, I would probably not be sitting in a regular home with my own sanity, because I would probably still be in an asylum or something like that. If you read my book in Unshaken, you will see dark parts of my life where, had I not had these interventions through psychiatric hospitalizations, I would not be here today. So there were these generations of people who suffered silently because they were misunderstood. You'll hear about that in my book as well, with my grandmother and my aunt. They could have been dismissed or mislabeled, hidden, punished, or just never diagnosed properly. Many parents did the best they could with what they had. But now, today, we know more. And because we know more, we can do better. That's one of the reasons that I speak. It's one of the reasons that I wrote my book. It's one of the reasons that I continue to move forward and use my voice to help educate as many people as I can. Because I do not want silence, confusion, lack of education to keep repeating themselves from one generation to the next. I want families to have a voice, to have awareness, to have the tools and know what tools are there so that they can find hope, not only in themselves, but their family and their future generations. One of the strongest lines or quotes that I have ever heard said is, and it really captures the issue, is that mental illness may be what loads the gun, but environment is actually what's going to be the trigger that shoots that gun. And that line is so powerful because it helps explain something that many people still don't understand. For me, had I known about this, I would have made much wiser decisions along the way. When I was hospitalized, the very first time when they gave me a diagnosis, they said, had you not been in the stressful relationship that I was in with my first husband, that maybe this genetic component would never have been triggered to bring my mental illness to life. So I kept myself in an unhealthy environment psychologically that allowed this to happen to myself. And that was directly from the psychiatrist's words when I was hospitalized the first time. So a child or teenager, depending, which age we're talking about, they can inherit this vulnerability or genetic component because of a family history that was passed on to them. So there may be patterns that are running through these generations, but genetics alone is not always the full story. The environment matters hugely. What you are exposed to matters, what you hear matters, what a child absorbs matters, how safe they feel matters hugely. Do they feel loved? Was there trauma in their life? In my book Unshaken, you will see multiple traumas throughout my life that that helped build up to the point, the breaking point, where in my first marriage, I was actually spun into a manic episode and the mental illness came alive. So also something to think about, was there chaos? An environment of chaos? Was there some type of addiction in the home that they're growing up in? Was there abuse? Abuse obviously matters hugely. Or were they living in a stable, emotionally regulating, supportive home where people were open with conversations that helped them to feel supported? So open conversations within a family matters. So all of these things matter deeply. Before I go any further, I want to say something important. None of us can control everything because no family is perfect. No grandparent is perfect. Children are still going to have to face what we endure in life. Things like stress. They'll still have to encounter pain, breakups in relationships, and we're still going to have to see them live in a broken world. So this episode isn't about trying to create some kind of impossible perfect life for them, because that's not going to happen. It's about doing our best to lower the risk where we can, or becoming aware, interrupting these harmful patterns, or recognizing the warning signs earlier before they spin out of control, Try to create homes and family systems that don't add unnecessary fuel to some kind of fire that may already be smoldering beneath the surface. And I speak about this from a personal perspective. My parents didn't have the education on mental illness that we have today. They didn't know exactly what signs to look for, or they didn't really understand what they were seeing. But they also didn't know that genetics and environment would interact in a person's life. I don't say that with bitterness, I just say it with truth, because had they known more, maybe some things would have looked different. Maybe some conversations would have happened sooner, and certain patterns could have been interrupted. But some wounds could have been handled more wisely. And pain obviously was still going to happen, but maybe there would have been a different type of understanding around that pain. This is why I speak now. I want to be the voice of change. I want to help families understand mental illness isn't just some random issue that kind of appears out of nowhere with no context. Sometimes there's a family line, sometimes there's a history or a biology, but sometimes there are these conditions in someone's environment that are going to intensify what's already there. When we talk honestly about genetics and environment, we are giving families more power, not lessening that power. We're giving them something they can actually do. So let's talk about that. What can parents and grandparents actually do? The first thing is prioritize education. Education is not optional anymore. If there's any kind of family history, depression, bipolar disorder, anxiety, schizophrenia, addiction, trauma, suicide, untreated mental health struggles, families, we need to pay attention to this. That does not mean we start panicking and start to live in fear. It doesn't mean we assume that every child is going to struggle in the same way. It means be informed. Learn the warning signs, learn what early symptoms can look like, and how issues can show up differently between children, teenagers, young adults, so on and so forth. Learn what emotional dysregulation can look like, what mania looks like, what depression looks like. Also learn what anxiety can look like. Sometimes you'll see changes in sleep, appetite, energy, behavior, and thinking. These are all signals. And some families wait until there's some kind of big crisis before they start learning about this. No, don't do that. Don't wait. Learn before. The next thing is break the silence. Silence is dangerous. When families don't talk about mental health, children can grow up confused, feel things they can't name, believe something's wrong with them, either morally, spiritually, or even psychologically, and then they need support. But when there's silence dominating a family, when silence dominates a family, shame usually starts to grow in the dark. So shame is one of the most damaging things we can pass down. Children need language, they need safe conversations, and they need to know that talking about their emotions is okay. They need to know that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. They also need to know that their mind matters just as much as their body. If your family line includes some kind of struggle, if there's secrecy or denial, or there's some kind of rage or addiction, instability, untreated illnesses, one of the most healing things you can do for your children is to be the person who tells the truth with wisdom and compassion when they're the age that you think is appropriate. But don't wait too long. The next thing is create as much emotional safety as possible. Again, we're not talking about perfection. We cannot be perfect. No one is perfect in this life. What I'm talking about is reducing the chaos where we can. We're talking about how children are affected by what's surrounding them. Emotional safety looks like being consistent. It looks like children not having to guess which version of the adult is in the house right now, and they're going to meet that one this particular day. It looks like age-appropriate honesty, calm conversation within boundaries. It looks like stability. It also looks like not exposing children to an adult burden that they are not meant to carry. And I'll give you a little explanation of that. When hurricane, I don't remember which hurricane it was. One of the hurricanes that hit New Jersey, maybe 10 years ago, I can't remember. Sandy, that's what it was. Hurricane Sandy. So I was living in an apartment. I was a single mom living with my son, who at the time was maybe 6. I can't remember exactly. I was scared, super scared. You know, they're saying tape up your windows, and I'm like having a panic attack. Now remember, I have a mental illness, so not the best at regulating my emotions. But so him watching my fears impacted him so much that months after the fear of and that the emotions that he watched through me, he drew a book. He made a whole book, like, you know, just paper, and stapled the sides, talking about this hurricane and all of the emotions that went into it. And, you know, fear, because mommy was not the best at keeping her fears internalized, and I kind of just was chaos for him. So children shouldn't have to become emotional shock absorbers for the adults around them, right? That's what I was doing to him. I am not good at that, but thankfully my current husband is way better at helping me regulate my emotions, and he'll like say, you need to stop, you know, you're gonna scare the kids, you know. So it's good. It's really good to have him to help me through that. So one sec. All right, so when something like this happens, what it does is it shapes the child's nervous system, and their sense of safety gets all shattered, and their identity and stress response is completely thrown for a loop. So that was the next thing I wanted to talk about. Now, one of the other things that you need to keep in mind that's very important is that you need to pay attention to trauma and chronic stress. Sometimes people think only extreme trauma counts, but chronic stress matters as well. So children who are living in constant tension and fear, they're constantly being criticized or yelled at, or they're just surrounded by yelling. If the parents are yelling, or there's some type of emotional neglect, this is shaped, they're being shaped by these conditions. So, for example, there was a lot of yelling in my first marriage, and when my son was, well, he wasn't old enough to talk yet. His dad was yelling at me and about something, I don't know. And he was sitting on the floor and he just started banging his head on the floor. And he wouldn't stop. And I had to just grab him and, eventually he stopped. But I did go see a therapist because I was concerned. And the therapist said that because my son wasn't old enough to express his feelings through words, he wasn't verbal yet. He was expressing himself through actions, and banging his head was a way of him trying to show that that environment needed to stop. He couldn't hear it anymore. So stress leaves marks on our children. And when there's already a vulnerability that is present in the genealogy of your family, repeated stressors can become a major factor. So this is why I say environment matters, because environment isn't just the wallpaper or the scenery. It's not just the background. It is active. It's what's teaching, transforming, impacting, shaping the body, but also shaping the mind. And it also shapes the nervousness. So when a child is nervous, that can stem from environment that they have been surrounded by. So it's all shaping their nervous system. And it also shapes what a child comes to expect from future relationships, from life, from themselves. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Another thing is we need, as parents and grandparents, to model how to cope with things in a healthy way. Children will learn from what we say, but they also learn from what we do day to day. That's common sense. So how do we handle our stress? How do we handle our anger? How do we handle grief or disappointment? Do we explode, or do we become numb and disappear? Do we deny things, maybe self-medicate? Or do we seek support and speak truthfully to regulate? Or maybe we pray or rest or ask for help and take responsibility. My children have known that I see a therapist because I need to. And they know that it is okay to talk to a therapist if they feel that that is something they need. So parents and grandparents, you don't need to be a perfect example, but you need to be honest examples. So it's powerful for a child to hear an adult say, I was overwhelmed, I didn't handle that well, I need to go calm down, and then I will come back to this conversation. Or I'm going to my therapy session, or I need to ask for help, or I'm learning healthier ways that I'm going to manage my stress. They have to know that there's no shame in taking care of their mental health, and there's no shame in you telling them that you're taking care of yours. These types of messages matter. So, what's another thing that's important? Take warning signs seriously. Don't dismiss everything as a phase. Sometimes it is a phase. Sometimes it's just development, or sometimes it's a rough patch that they're going through. But sometimes it's more. A dramatic shift can happen somewhere along the way. You can see that in sleep, in their mood or their energy, in the behaviors that they're doing, or are they isolating themselves? Do they make these impulsive decisions, or are taking huge risks without really thinking about it? Or are they raging out at you? Or full-fledged just sadness or despair. Maybe thinking you should not brush it off automatically is the way to go. So, something that's important is to trust your instinct. Pay attention to patterns. Document any concerns you think that are necessary. And seek professional guidance when something isn't feeling right. Because early intervention matters hugely. You don't want things to spiral before you seek help, because a lot of times it can take over a month to get psychiatric help, depending, or especially if it's good help that you need. They won't just automatically take you into a hospitalization setting. Often you will have to wait. You can go to the hospital. They will discharge you or your child, depending on the severity, and say, okay, follow up with a psychiatrist or therapist. And then at that point, it can take weeks or even over a month sometimes to get an appointment with someone. So early intervention matters. One of the hardest things for families is admitting something may need deeper support, but avoiding it isn't going to make the problem disappear. So we need to address it as quickly as we can. The next thing is remove shame around treatment. This is a huge matter. There are still families today where medication is shamed, going for therapy is shamed, psychiatric support is looked down on, diagnosis is meant to be a secret, right? So you tell your kid, you have this diagnosis, don't tell anyone, because it's scary sometimes for parents who are not familiar with mental illness. So then their child is now diagnosed and labeled, and it becomes this hidden secret. Don't tell anyone. How do you think that makes the kid feel? Oh gosh, there's something wrong with me? I can't tell anybody. I mean, how you choose, maybe there are other ways that you can word it that it doesn't feel like shame, but a lot of times if people are religious, I have faith, and growing up, a lot of times it was, okay, you have this problem, you need to pray harder, you need to be stronger, don't be so dramatic, just get over it, don't tell anyone, it's more than that, it's not meant to be hidden, like in a sense that, okay, pray harder. Okay, I believe in God, I pray harder, but that's not going to heal mania. God gave us medication. He gave us scientists. He gave us psychiatrists and therapists to help someone who is born with a chemical imbalance to be treated so that we can live a healthy, stable life. So sure, you can keep it private, but to say that, you're not praying hard enough, that's why you're not getting better, that is definitely not the right thinking, because someone who has bipolar disorder, like myself, needs medication in order to be stable, and those kind of mindsets are what hurt people. Sure, faith matters deeply to me, and prayer matters deeply to me. And God has carried me through things that I should not have survived. But I also believe that God is working through treatment with doctors, therapists, psychiatrists, support groups, and through the courage to reach for help. So we need to stop acting like getting help is failure. Getting help can be the very best thing that is going to protect a life. So the next thing is to teach children identity beyond their struggle. So this is huge. If a child or teenager or young adult knows there's a family history of some kind of illness, mental illness, addiction, or if they start showing signs of this emotional struggle, we have to be very careful about messages that they are starting to internalize. They're not doomed. They're not broken beyond repair. They are not a diagnosis before they are even a person. And whatever they're going through doesn't disqualify them from their purpose. But they need to seek treatment to get them better. They are not less valuable. They are not less capable of living a meaningful life, just like someone else who does not have a mental illness. So our children need to know this. Awareness is not a sentence to them, it's actually a tool. Knowledge about this is not a curse, it's just preparation. Support for them is not weakness, it's actually wisdom. And struggle doesn't erase their purpose, just like it didn't erase mine. I know this personally. I know what it's like to battle mental illness. I know what it's like to have been hospitalized, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 times. So I have seen what it's like to fight through the darkness, confusion, the fear and deep emotional pain, but I also know what it's like to survive and be restored and what it's like to live with purpose. So now I use my voice after decades of pain. I know what it's like to realize what could have destroyed you can also become part of what you use to help others heal. That's one reason this message matters so much to me, because I don't want children growing up thinking that family history means hopelessness, because it doesn't. It means be aware, be wise, be proactive, build a healthier environment, and pay attention. It also means get support early. It means to speak openly and protect peace so that we can break these generational cycles. And yes, I want to speak directly for a moment to grandparents. Your role matters even more than you may realize. You can help shift a family culture, you can help create warmth and safety and truth, but you can also support parents without judging them. You can learn and listen and refuse to repeat harmful patterns. You can also be the soft place for your grandchildren to land and normalize these healthy conversations. You can help to remove stigma from your family story. And to parents, I want to say this to you. Don't let guilt keep you stuck where you are. If you're hearing this and realizing there are things you wish you knew earlier, don't waste all your energy on shame. Use what you have learned today and now. Learn from it now, adjust to it now, get support now, change the environment now. Because healing doesn't always begin when everything is perfect. Sometimes healing begins the moment someone in the family is brave enough to say, "It stops with me." We are going to do this differently starting now. That's how patterns begin to break. I also wanted to speak to those listening who aren't parents or grandparents, but carry the pain of what was not done for them. We see you as well. It's painful to realize that the education was not there when we were younger. It's also painful to realize that those wounds were possibly ignored. It's also painful to look at and to acknowledge that adults didn't know what they were doing, or that they were maybe carrying some of their own unresolved pain and passed that on to us. They weren't educated the way we are now. So that kind of grief is real, but your awareness still matters today. You can become this interruption. You can be the educator. You can become the one who's learning and healing and building something different. Your past can explain part of your pain, but it does not have to define the legacy that you're leaving behind you. So as I close this episode, I want to leave you with a few final thoughts. First, family history is information. It's not your destiny. Second, education is there for protection. Third, being silent about it isn't going to help anyone. Fourth, our environment matters more than most people realize. And fifth, hope is always still possible. I'll say it again. Hope is still possible. So for the child who may be vulnerable, or the parent who's feeling completely overwhelmed, or the grandparent who just wants to do a better job, and even the adult who's finally understanding their own story, it's our families who are trying to change the future. Hope is still possible. We can't control everything, but we are not powerless. We can learn and listen, pay attention, create safer homes, remove shame, seek support, tell the truth. We can also protect peace. And by doing all those things, we are going to break these harmful cycles and raise children and grandchildren with more wisdom than our previous generations had. And that matters hugely. Again, this is why I speak and why I'm trying to make a difference with my voice and my experience. Let me see, do I have one of my books? Here we go. And in my book, Unshaken. If you read it, you will know that you can be here, but then you can still be here despite being there. Because, like we said, your past does not tell you what your future is going to turn into. You can put things in place to change that future that you may have been heading for, but now you're here because you did what it took to get here. Thank you for joining me in this next episode of Unshaken Voices. If this conversation meant something to you, please, 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 please share it with a parent, a grandparent, someone who's a caregiver of another, an educator, or even just a friend who you think may need to hear this. And as always, keep holding on to hope. Keep speaking the truth and believing that pain does not get the final word. This is Denise Pimentel, and this is Unshaken Voices. Until next time.